As the Trump administration continues its immigration crackdown, some undocumented immigrants are using apps to alert each other about ICE raids. But even though they're only meant to let people know when officers are nearby, some officials are concerned that these apps could be used to spot and then ambush agents. So let's bring in CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano, who's been doing reporting on this story. Lilia, thank you so much for joining us on 24/7 today. Tell us how the app works and how is ICE responding to all of this?
Good to join you, Mugo. So the way the apps work, or this app that we covered called Koki, the way it works, it's kind of like Google Maps or Waze, where many drivers might be familiar with this feature where you're driving and you see where there might be a police patrol or a speed check. So users will add that information. The way the app works is, of course, instead of police, you are reporting, or people are reporting sightings of ICE raids or arrests. I asked the deputy director of ICE about the app because we've heard from Secretary Noem, from the border czar Tom Homan. They call these apps obstruction of justice. They say that these apps could be dangerous. And one of the things that the deputy director told me was that they fear that the apps, it's only a matter of time before they could be used to identify, target, and ambush ICE officers. Of course, the creators of the app say, look, the whole point is not to target, it's the opposite. It is to avoid ICE altogether so people can go to work, live their lives in less fear, especially now that we're seeing that ICE is ramping up detentions and deportations.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, there have been clashes and confrontation between protesters and also agents. All of that escalated in just the last few weeks. So is that what immigration officials are worried about?
That's exactly what ICE is talking about. DHS is citing some data. They say that they are telling us that in the period between January 21st, when the administration came into office, to the end of June, when you compare this year to last year, that there is a 690% increase in assaults or reported assaults against ICE agents. I asked for those numbers specifically. They said last year it was 10, this year is 79. And of course, the agencies are very concerned. But when you hear from the public at large, when we're seeing the way and the tactics that ICE is using, when we're seeing so many agents who are masked, when we're seeing the militarization of these agencies, you also have to wonder about intimidation. So I also asked the deputy director of ICE about, what is ICE doing to de-escalate and whether they consider that these tactics, especially the masking, is something that could generate that intimidation, that fear, and perhaps for people to feel like they're defending themselves. This is a little bit of what she said.
There is huge concern that ICE could turn into a sort of secret police where agents are masked without showing their badges. People don't know who these people who are grabbing people off the streets are. Why is that? Why are they wearing masks?
They're wearing masks because they're protecting themselves and their families. What's happening is nationwide, we're seeing this huge effort with the rhetoric coming out of even elected officials that ICE is causing harm to the communities. And what we're doing is enforcing immigration laws.
Police officers do that every day. What's different?
Absolutely. And those police officers are going out and enforcing law and order and working with their community. And the men and women ICE are doing the exact same thing.
How can the public trust them if they don't know who they are and they don't see their faces and they don't see their names?
Absolutely, and that's where that branding comes in on all of our vests as our officers are out working, making sure that we're displaying the HSI logos, the ERO logos, as well as the ICE logos, and we'll continue to do that, making sure our officers are doing that.
And look, we have seen plenty of videos where you don't see the logos and there's a concern over the face. And if it's legal for ICE agents to be masked, a lot of people wonder, how far is this going to go? Are police going to start doing this? And there are laws that prevent it when it comes to police, but not yet with ICE. I also asked about the doxing, and they shared a series of photos of flyers and posters where activists or agitators are saying, do you know an ICE agent? Send us the information. Clearly that's an issue, but it's something that, as I suggested and asked, look, this is something that judges face, journalists face, police face. Why is it that ICE has a sort of privilege to cover their face? And they keep pointing to the doxing and protecting their families, but of course there are laws against the harassment and the attacks and the threats. We'll see where this all leads, of course. There are lawmakers looking into passing laws to prevent it.
I'm so glad you asked that question, because even just from seeing those videos, there is something scary about seeing masked men and women just grabbing people off the street. So a very good question. Lilia Luciano, thank you so much for your reporting.